Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Randy, and this is another in my series where I go through each year and tell you my favorite album, my favorite song, my favorite movie, and my favorite television show from each year. I started in 1950, we're all the way up to 1983. And first off, I want to say that I have to have a physical copy in my collection in order to pick it. And with the television shows, they are only eligible their debut season. Okay, and something I started a few episodes ago was to show a bunch of the albums from whatever year I picked. This is 1983. The ones that didn't quite make my list for my top five, I will say that this year for the top five songs was really, really tough. So anyway, let's get to that. And first of all, I want to say sorry, Gary. I'm going to start out with a few CDs. So I got Bob Marley and the Wailers, Confrontation. Green on Red, Gravity Talks. Of course, got to have Van Morrison. Intricate Speech of the Heart didn't quite make it for me. Cyndi Lauper, She's So Unusual. The Kinks, State of Confusion, was a really big hit for them. And Eric Clapton, Money and Cigarettes. Now, Gary, you can start watching again. I'm getting to the albums, or the vinyl. I will show one EP. It's Burning Sensations, mainly because of the song Belly of the Whale, just a great tune. All right, now to the albums. Marillion, Script for a Jester's Tear. Sorry, Steve, that it didn't make the top five. Graham Parker, The Real Macaw. I really wanted to have the song Life Gets Better as one of my favorite songs. Just like PIL, Joan Jett named this album. David Bowie, big hit for him. Let's Dance, didn't quite make my list. Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble, Texas Flood. Cheap Trick, Next Position Please. Sorry, Emma. Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind. Sorry, Christian Osario. Big Country, The Crossing, their biggest hit over here, I think, for them. Marshall Crenshaw, Field Day, a follow-up to his great debut, which this is very good as well. The Waterboys debut, self-titled. John Cougar Mellencamp, Of course, this is Pink Houses and other tunes on there. X, More Fun in the Real World, The New World's Great Cut. No, what did I say? More fun in the real world? More fun in the New World. The New World's a great cut. Ian Hunter, All the Good Ones Are Taken. Dave Edmunds, Information. Aztec Camera, Highland, Hard Rain, their debut. Any Trouble, their debut, some great power pop new wave. John Hyatt, Riding with the King, excellent album. I Don't Even Try, title cut, which later B.B. King and Eric Clapton did. Talking Heads, Speaking in Tongues. The Motels, Little Robbers. Suddenly Last Summer, big hit on there. Jackson Browne, Lawyers in Love. Sorry, Rich. Bonnie Tyler, Faster Than the Speed of Night. Of course, I have to have Randy Newman and Trouble in Paradise. Neil Young and the Shocking Pinks, Everybody's Rockin'. I do kind of like this album. Spandau Ballet, True, a little romantic pop. Billy Joel, An Innocent Man. He goes back to R&B and roots, kind of. The Soul Mining. Sorry, Brian, Embryonic Robot. That's a great. Uncertain Smile is just a great tune on here. And Lou Reed, Legendary Hearts. The Blasters, nonfiction. The Plimsouls, Everywhere at Once, I think is what this was called. Peter Case was in this band. Martin Briley, One Night with a Stranger. His biggest hits was on here, The Salt in My Tears. ABC, Beauty Stab. Adamant, Strip. Billy Bragg, Life's a Riot with Spy vs. Spy. Kinky Friedman, Under the Double Ego. Oh, the song People Who Love People magazine on here. Fool's Face, Public Places. Great, hard to find power pop. Gordon Lightfoot, Salute, underrated album by him. Robert Cray Band, Bad Influence, great guitarist and blues guitarist and singer. Yes, I do like this album. I do like Culture Club. I think he's got a soulful voice. Color by Numbers, came out in 1983. Elvis Costello and the Attractions, Punch the Clock. And last, and probably least, Journey, Frontiers. And now for my top 5 albums of 1983. Like the fourth runner-up. This was a hard one to find. I finally broke down and just bought the CD because the vinyl was just too expensive. And that's the Go-Betweens and their album Before Hollywood. This is the second album by this Brisbane Australian band with an indie pop kind of jangle pop flavor with 2 wonderful songwriters and singers in Robert Forster and Grant McClellan, who unfortunately passed away in 2006. Check out the tune Cattle and Cane that was chosen as one of the best Australian songs of all time. Third runner-up. From U2, it's the album War. This was their big breakout album with its passionate rock anthems led by The Edge's piercing guitar work, Larry Mullen Jr.'s incendiary drumming, and Bono's fervent singing. Songs like Sunday Bloody Sunday, New Year's Day, and Two Hearts Beat as One became classic radio tunes. It also had a great, wonderful closer in the song 40. Yeah. So yeah, U2, War. And for the second runner-up, from REM, their album Murmur. Their debut album, a jangle pop masterpiece, is considered by many to be their best album. My vote is for an album that comes a little later, but this has all the earmarks that made them great, with rootsy, atmospheric songs that often seem, and lyrics that often seem like stream of consciousness lyrics. Check out Radio Free Europe, Perfect Circle, and We Walk. All right, from 1983, my first runner-up, Swordfish Trombones by Tom Waits. This album signaled a new direction for Waits from the beatnik lounge singer to one with a more angular and percussive arrangements and a slew of new instruments to accompany this change, often in unconventional ways. They still had a wonderful lyrical outlook and a knack for melody. Check out the songs Town with No Cheer, In the Neighborhood, and 16 Shells from a 30-06. Swordfish Trombones. And my favorite album from 1983 is Bob Dylan's Infidels. There's the songs. Yeah, first album released out of his Christian trilogy period. Steve, A is for Alice, B is for Bob. This is his favorite Bob Dylan album. And I remember when I was writing for a local publication, which I did for a short period of time, this was the only album I actually gave 5 stars. But it's got a great collection of songs, and it's got musicians like Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare, Mick Taylor, Mark Knopfler, and Ben Mott Tench. All of them play on this record. Check out Joker Man, Sweetheart Like You, I and Don't Fall Apart on Me Tonight. And now for my favorite songs of 1983, fourth runner-up, from Blue Oyster Cult and their album The Revolution by Night, and it's the song, lead off track, Take Me Away. written with Aldo Novo, who was touring with the group at the time. It features one of Eric Bloom's best vocal performances, and it is a standout rock anthem. It wasn't overplayed, which may be why it still resonates with me. Yeah. The song Take Me Away from Blue Oyster Cult, number 5. And now for my third runner-up, from the album The Sin of Pride by The Undertones, and it's the song Chain of Love. This is pure pop magic, and if you listen to the beginning of this song, you can see where Culture Club borrowed from this song for Karma Chameleon. This is off their 4th studio album, and lead singer Feargal Sharkey lets some blue-eyed soul sneak through. Yeah. Listen to Chain of Love by The Undertones. Now my second runner-up, from Joan Armatrading and her album The Key. There she is. This may be the most joyous song in her catalog, and it's full of energy. I almost chose my favorite ballad by her, entitled Everybody Gotta Know. Let's see, there's Everybody Gotta Know. But this song I'm choosing is, like I said, Drop the Pilot, which is on this album, but it has some quirky lyrics, essentially saying, don't go out with him, go out with me. It was one of her, I think this is her best album, and this was her only charting single in the United States. So check out Drop the Pilot, Joan Armatrading. My first runner-up, from the album Where Angels Fear to Tread by Mink DeVille. Of course, he's one of my favorites. And it's the opening track, Each Word's a Beat of My Heart. Great tune, really melodic with a wonderful soulful power pop feel. You can tell Willie DeVille, the lead singer, was a fan of soul and doo-wop music. I say lead singer because he is the only member from the original band on this album and this track. But my favorite song from 1983 is off my favorite album from 1983, and that's Bob Dylan's Infidels album, and it's the song Sweetheart Like You. This is just a fantastic lyrical tour de force that weaves some political intrigue into a gorgeous romantic ballad. He even borrows from the English writer Samuel Johnson, who coined the phrase, patriotism is the last refuge of a scoundrel. He weaves it into the song. This helps to make it one of the most unique songs in romantic storytelling. The album includes several tunes I could have picked as number 1, but I'm not repeating any artists in the song category. So yeah, Sweetheart Like You by Bob Dylan, my favorite song of 1983. Right now we get to my favorite films from 1983. 4th runner-up is the movie Scarface, directed by Brian De Palma, a fine reworking of the 1932 Paul Muni film that was directed by Howard Hawks. But this time, Al Pacino, as the title character, is a Cuban immigrant who rises to mobster prominence. The over-the-top violence and performances took me years to appreciate, but I finally see this film as a stylized tour de force. It also has Michelle Pfeiffer in, which doesn't hurt. All right, my 3rd runner-up is The Right Stuff, directed by Philip Kaufman. Wonderful adaptation of Tom Wolfe's book, which chronicles the development of the space program from the test pilots breaking the sound barrier to the Mercury 7 astronauts. The film checks in at over 3 hours, but the exemplary cast and excellent pacing help to reward the viewer despite the length. Yeah, The Right Stuff. All right, my 2nd runner-up. It's on this 3-pack, and that's Gorky Park. I had Eye of the Needle on an earlier episode, but I'm picking Gorky Park, directed by Michael Apted. Of course, I'm going to work in a good thriller if I'm able to, and this is a good one with William Hurt and Lee Marvin, set in Russia. A fascinating murder mystery, and Apted keeps the tension up even with a complex plot. The winter setting also helps the proceedings. Yeah, Gorky Park, good thriller. My first runner-up is A Christmas Story, directed by Bob Clark. I know what you're saying, but I just love this Christmas movie because there are so many things that happen in this movie that remind me of my childhood and Christmases as I was growing up. even though this film was set in 1940. There are lines from this movie that our family still quotes, like the leg lamp, fragile, must be Italian, I double dog dare you, you'll shoot your eye out, just so many. And who would have thought that the director of Porky's can make such a heartwarming movie? A Christmas Story. Still love it, even though it's shown every year. But my favorite movie of 1983 is Local Hero. This is a Criterion Collection, spine number 994, for those who keep track. But yeah, an oil executive is sent to Scotland to buy up land and a town for an oil refinery, but something unforeseen happens. It's hard to think of another movie with this much charm. My trip to Scotland last year did nothing to dissuade me of the enchanting nature of the place. Also, Burt Lancaster is great in the supporting role, and it has a wonderful Mark Knopfler score. Yeah, Local Hero, one of the most charming movies ever, I think. And now for my favorite TV shows from 1983. I could only find 4 this year that deserved to be talked about. Or that's all I had, actually. It wasn't not a great year for television, but I've got 4 to talk about. The third runner-up is the miniseries The Thornbirds. This miniseries wasn't exactly my thing, but it did have Rachel Ward in it. And 1983 was kind of down from 1982 as far as television is concerned. It is the story of forbidden love with the priest and was a big ratings hit. Yeah, and Richard Chamberlain was the priest. My second runner-up, Tales from the Dark Side. This was a horror anthology series created by George Romero, famous for his zombie films, the Night of the Living Dead series of films. This was kind of a step down from Alfred Hitchcock Presents or The Twilight Zone, as it was somewhat spotty, but there were some fine episodes here and there. And it also does have a great credits intro. Tales from the Dark Side. My first runner-up is the fun series Scarecrow and Mrs. King. This is a comedy adventure series starring Kate Jackson of Charlie's Angels fame, who gets mixed up with Bruce Boxleiter, a spy with the U.S. government. They had a great chemistry with many humorous espionage entanglements. It also has the wonderful Beverly Garland starring as Jackson's mother. Garland was television's first policewoman, starring in the 1957 series Decoy. Yeah, Scarecrow and Mrs. King, my first runner-up. But my favorite television series from 1983 is Buffalo Bill. This was a fun comedy series about an egotistical talk show host from a small TV station in Buffalo, New York. Shout out to MGK Mike. He was played by Dabney Coleman. It also starred Joanna Cassidy and Gina Davis trying to clean up the messes Coleman creates. Coleman plays the jerk to the hilt, and the interaction between he and Cassidy and Max Wright were comedy gold. Yeah, just a fun series, short-lived but really good. Buffalo Bill with Dabney Coleman, my favorite series from 1983. Let me know down below in the comments section some of your favorites or something I may have missed. And hope everyone's doing well. See you in 1984.